souls, it's Pollyanna Blanco back here in the garden and happy to be sharing another video with you here today. Today we are going to take a look at how to tap into a greater sense of creative flow by accessing a brainwave state that will support you to do that. And I'm going to share a simple practice with you by the end of this video, so do stay with us till the end of this video, that will make it easier for you to access that brainwave state. Okay, so let's get started. If you are already watching this channel, and I thank you for that, you're probably curious about this idea of being a multidimensional being and exploring that in your life. You're probably open to expanding your awareness. And, you know, that whole idea of expanding our awareness is actually related to levels of consciousness and conscious awareness. And that conscious awareness is also related to brainwave states. So today's video is going to connect some information about brainwave states to this more abstract idea about raising our awareness and connect the dots a little bit more, or refresh, if that's the case for you too, the information that you already do know. Okay, so many of us have been taught that there are 4 major brainwave states, in school. And the exciting thing is now scientists have confirmed that there are 3 more brainwave states. And we're going to be focusing on one in particular of those brainwave states. But what I love about discovering this is that it means that there are probably many more brainwave states out there, and science has yet to, prove them. And so there's really this infinite creative potential that is there for all of us in time to, connect with. We have the delta, theta, beta, and alpha brainwave states. And the delta brainwave state is around 0.5 to 3 hertz. In that brainwave state, we might experience something like sleeping so deeply that we can't remember our dreams. That's very common. In the theta brainwave state, we might be deep in meditation, super relaxed, and that's where we're experiencing a brainwave state of around 4 to 7 hertz. Then moving on up to the beta brainwave state, we're in that sort of transitionary period between being fully awake and starting to relax. There's probably some noise and some mind chatter going on that may prevent us from going into a deeper state of relaxation. And that's when we're talking about 8 to 12 hertz in terms of brainwave state. And then we move on up to the alpha brainwave state, which is what we consider our awake, conscious mind. And that's anywhere from 13 to 30 hertz. So those are the 4 traditional brainwave states that we're probably already familiar with. By studying Tibetan monks meditating in the Himalayas, as well as bringing them into laboratories in the US, scientists have now confirmed that there's actually another brainwave state that's even lower than the delta state. That brainwave state is being called epsilon, and it's less than 0.5 hertz. It can even be, in some instances, as low as 0 hertz, which is what that actually looks like in physicality. Is when Tibetan monks were being observed in this brainwave state, they appeared to not even have a pulse. So for all intents and purposes, what we understand is signs of someone being alive were not evident, and yet they were still technically alive. And then there's also another brainwave state on the other end of the spectrum above alpha, which is the gamma brainwave state, and that's the one we're going to zero in on very shortly. The gamma brainwave state is anywhere from 31 to 120 hertz, but the average being around 40 hertz. And then finally we have, at the opposite end of the scale, we have the lambda brain state, and that brain state is anywhere from 100 to 200 hertz. And what really caught my attention about that brainwave state is that when they observed monks in the Himalayas meditating in sub-zero weather, what they noticed was that these monks were able to self-regulate through the focused intention and awareness of their mind. In other words, what that meant was they were able to regulate their body temperature. They were dressed in wet cloaks that, for all intents and purposes, when they were sitting out on the snow, should have caused their skin to stick to the wet material. But because of their ability to focus through meditation, their awareness, they're able to actually not only prevent that from happening, but in an area, sort of the circumference around where they were sitting, they were actually able to melt the snow. So this tells us something pretty amazing about human potential in terms of the mind and the body. And when I say the mind, we're talking about brainwave states, but I'm also going to share something in a moment too that's really key to understanding all of this as far as I see it so far and understand it. And that's that it's not only about the head. Stay tuned for that. So let's go back to the gamma brainwave state just for a second. The gamma brainwave state is interesting. It has 3 really important benefits to our well-being. One of them being that it synchronizes the hemispheres of our brain, as well as the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. So those are 3 very amazing benefits. If you think about healing, if you think about, a lot of the things that we as human beings struggle with, anxiety, depression, even compulsive behaviors or addictions, these are the things that keep us stuck. And in this brainwave state, what's literally happening, they call it like a transpersonal or superconscious brainwave state. We're literally lifting ourselves above those other lower brainwave states that keep us stuck in those experiences, with our bodies releasing certain neurochemicals that reinforce those experiences. So there's this beautiful synchronization happening, this oneness, this unity within ourselves. We talk about unity without. Really and truly, we can be the change we want to see in the world. We tap into and tune into our own creative flow. In whatever way we're guided to do it, we actually are doing so much more than just giving something to ourselves. We're changing the way we be in the world, the way we use our energy in the world. And there's a huge ripple effect. There's a whole other video on the creative field of being that I'm going to share with you shortly. Anyways, going back to gamma brainwave states. It's a powerful state. It's a state where you can experience not only creative flow, but greater clarity, lucidity, peace, also deeper intuition, and even greater empathy. In this brainwave state, more neurons are created at a rapid rate, and also more brain cells show up in the frontal cortex and in the hippocampus, which is the area of the brain responsible for memory and memory retrieval. So this brainwave state has often been linked with the idea of superintelligence and really powering us up. And yet, it's not necessarily powering us up in terms of only being able to remember more or think more quickly, which it does do. But it also is a brainwave state that helps us to go in more deeply, to access a deeper connection with, the information that is available to us. The other part to it that's really, really key is that, in our modern world, and for centuries, quite frankly, we've kind of had this battle royale between the head and the heart. And ever since, rationalism became popular, this idea that the head is superior to the heart. And it still lingers in our society today, has created this polarity, this dichotomy that is out of balance. And it shows up in so many ways in our human experience, both directly and subtly. Really, what we want is we don't want to have a battle royale or a conflict between the two. We want to bring both of these important dimensions of our beingness in human form into harmony and balance. Because that harmony and balance that we achieve within ourselves is going to create a ripple effect in our lives with everyone we come into contact with, every animal, every aspect of our environment. This is really the kernel of wisdom. So it's more about a partnership between the head and the heart. Interestingly enough, in the early 1990s, a new branch of medicine evolved called neurocardiology. And in neurocardiology, scientists proved that more information literally travels from the heart to the head than the head to the heart. Really, this feeds into the practice I'm going to share with you today and supports it. And this is why I wanted to give you a little bit of scientific background so that the rational part of your mind can just take a nice deep breath in and out and relax a little bit. And if you've already been practicing what I'm going to share with you, which you may very well be doing instinctively, because our bodies are wise, there'll be just a little bit of interesting information that supports your practice, and it reaffirms the importance and value of it to your rational mind so that you can continue your beautiful practice. Heart-brain coherence is what we're talking about when we're talking about this partnership between the head and the heart and the head, both being equally important. And it's called the Institute of Heart Math. It's in Northern California, and they've done a lot of research on heart-brain coherence. One of the things with heart-brain coherence is that it allows us to enter into this gamma brainwave state. So the practice that I'm going to share with you right now is very simple. Are you ready for it? Okay. Take your hand and place it on your heart. That's step 1. Step 2 is begin to slow your breathing. Take a deep breath into the count of 5 and exhale for at least a count of 5 or maybe 7. And repeat. And step 3 is focus on something that you really appreciate, something that you're really grateful for. And don't just think about it. Allow yourself to really feel into the emotionality of what you're grateful for. Breathing in and out from your heart center. And there you have it. That's how you begin to activate this heart-brain coherence. How simple is that? You've probably even already been practicing this. You just didn't understand perhaps even how profound it was, or maybe you did. The point is that so many of us get caught in these pain loops in our life, habitual ways of being in the world that leave us feeling stuck. What's happening there, because scientists have shown this as well too through studies, is that when we're in certain negative emotional states, and while emotions are all important because they serve an important function of learning and growth for us, and they're really just energy and motion, they're really neither good nor bad. For the intensive purposes of what I just want to share with you right now, we're going to call like the denser, heavier emotions, the lower frequency emotions, like say for example anger or frustration or hate or jealousy or envy. When we're feeling those emotions, then what happens is our brain waves become very chaotic, and this is what scientists have proven. Switch it up, focus in on feelings of gratitude, appreciation, compassion. tune into the brainwave states, and what happens is the brainwave states become coherent. They're this beautiful, undulating, regular, looping, flowing, creative flowing pattern. Add into the mix that when we're feeling those feel-good feelings and accessing those coherent brainwave states, we're also releasing the neurochemicals in our body that support that, serotonin, dopamine, etc. And so if we want to be the change that we want to see in the world, which I know you do, or you wouldn't be interested in watching this video, and you're probably already doing so many things in your life that you're feeling guided to intuitively to honor within yourself, then understand how important these practices are, not only to your own well-being, but to the well-being of the world. In fact, I'm going to leave you with one last tidbit, which I just loved. For me, this is like my mind candy, and this is why you may have come across some of this information before, but on my channel, this is the kind of stuff I want to share, the stuff that has caught my attention that I feel would also support you on your journey as well, too. What scientists have actually started looking at is if one person is in a room with other people, and that one person is already in the brainwave state. It could be with one other person or a few other people. And the person who's in the gamma brainwave state will have an effect, a very positive effect, on the people who are in the less coherent brainwave states. And again, there's no judgment here. This is just an observation, because we're all exactly where we need to be for our highest growth and learning. And just because it doesn't feel like all fluffy bunny doesn't mean it's necessarily good or bad. It's just what it needs to be. But that being said, sometimes we just don't know how to create something better. There's a mismatch between what our heart desires, what our brain tells us in terms of limiting beliefs, and our outer experience, as well as even our inner experience. And so it can leave us stuck in feelings of frustration, releasing, neurochemicals that are not helping our well-being, which only snowball the experience of feeling stuck. As a result, we can end up just, feeling there's no point, and that becomes how we look at the world. Well, the beautiful thing about all of this is that you do have a choice. You do have a practice. Scientists have said that if you do this practice daily for 3 weeks, instead of it just being, at this particular moment that you're entering this brainwave state because maybe you're meditating, you can start to make it the norm in your life. Imagine going through your life every day feeling that kind of flow. This is the candy, this is the mind candy that hopefully will entice you to consider making a few minutes available to yourself so that your heart's desire for being in creative flow can be supported by a practice that allows you to actually get there. And in that, I'll close and say thank you for your time and infinite creative blessings, infinite creativity and inspiration. In the Catch Alakeen, I'm another you and you are another me. Namaste. Many thanks. Be well.